We're gonna do something a little bit different today. And no, I'm not gonna put on pants, but stay tuned for this review of Prime 1 Studios' Alita Battle Angel Deluxe Statue. Welcome to the Extreme Channel. My name is Mr. X. Today we're going to unbox, assemble, and review this fantastic piece, I hope it's fantastic at least, from Prime 1 Studios from Alita Battle Angel. Now before we get started, I said we're going to do a few things different. Number one is I'm going to try a little bit of a different unboxing. Two, you guys see another little camera here? That is a members exclusive. People see this footage raw, they see it before it airs. If you're interested in that, go ahead and check out this video right here. Also, if you're used to this channel, you know every day we launch videos at 4 p.m. Eastern. Well, I launched this one early because I was really excited to see this piece.
Hey, that's what she said.
So, as you guys probably know, I'm not an art box guy, but here's the art box for you. On the front, you have a full-scale picture of the statue. On the side, you have a whole bunch of rules and regulations in different languages that nobody ever reads. Then a big close-up, Alita Battle Angel, Premium Master Line, Berserker Deluxe Edition. And I don't know if you can tell on the side, kind of a close-up of her hand. All right, let's check out what's inside. All right, so first we have the base, and already the base requires 2 AA batteries. I wonder if Prime 1 included it. I'm guessing not. The base is extremely light. All right, so let's throw the batteries in really quick now. We have all black leather. We'll do some close-ups with the review. All right, portrait number 1. This may be the regular version. Right here, looks pretty good. Then one of the switch outs, might be my favorite. We'll see. And we have one of the switch out arms with her blade behind the shoulder. And a big freaking gun. Now keep in mind, these are extremely light. So it looks like they anticipated some shipping issues. They really packed these well. No breakages. It's awesome. We have her holding the spinal cord of an enemy, I believe. And then you have, I don't even know what the hell this is. And then you have another part of a fallen enemy. I believe this goes on the base. Pretty neat. The paint on this is pretty good so far. Pretty spectacular. I believe this is the arm of the fallen enemy. This could be just the deluxe versions. So here she's holding kind of a socket wrench. And it is not just the deluxe version, because I believe this holding the sword by the side is the regular version. So it'll be interesting to see how different the packing is on the regular version. Or this could be it. It looks like it's the exact same thing. A little bit different, both right-handed. So, I think one goes over her shoulder. Here is something else. Don't even know what this is. And another socket wrench. And this is the regular left arm, which we will never display, but we'll show you guys, I believe. And another Alita arm, or shoulder. All right, so we do have directions, which normally we don't use on this channel, but I'm in a hurry. So first piece is probably this guy right here. That moves, so that must be So this is the on-off switch right here for the light up. I don't know if you can see that. Then these wires somehow go in, and they don't set in very well, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. Key this head in. There we go. Right in there. I'm sure we had a hammer. Maybe right up here. That can't be right. Oh, maybe it is. And we need a left arm. Let's start with the left arm. And we're due this. Okay, let me take off my pants and we'll do this. So now we're officially going to jump into the review of this 1/4 scale Alita Battle Angel Berserker Deluxe statue from Prime 1 Studios. The movie Alita was recently released a few years ago, and it was pretty well received because it was so different. High-end CGI, really futuristic type stuff. Alita, the main character, is actually half human, half cyborg. Some of it's kind of explained in the movie, some of it's not. Some of it I don't even remember. I've only seen the movie once, but I probably will watch it again this weekend. And I purchased this from Sideshow Collectibles. They distributed it for Prime 1 Studios simply for the art of the piece. I thought it was an okay movie. Maybe if I watch it again, I'll like it a little bit better. But she's pretty cool looking. Prime 1 Studios made 1,500 of these. 500 are the regular edition that retailed at $699, and we're going to look at that. Then 1,000 of them were the deluxe edition that retailed at $1,000, $300 more. A few interesting things going on here. First of all, the deluxe version, the one that costs more and has more switch outs, traditionally has a lower edition size. They usually make less of those, whereas I said that's not the case here. They actually made twice as many of the deluxe as they did the regular. Second thing is the deluxe version was significantly higher. It was almost 50% more in price. They haven't done that in a long time, but you get a lot of different switch outs we're going to talk about in design. So with all this, let's dive right into the review, and we're going to start off with concept. The concept of this piece, and Prime 1 really went all out. There's a lot of things in here that I probably don't even recognize from the movie because I've only seen it once, but let's take a look. So she is on a different kind of base, and what's really interesting about this is they've elevated her. So there's some stuff on the bottom which maybe insinuates the poorer part of town or where she kind of started off in the movie at. And as you move up, you got a couple different things going on here. First, they put her name on the front, which they don't do a lot, and it's not a removable nameplate, which I don't know if I'm a fan of or not. So it's almost like she's on a pedestal because she became the champion, but she didn't. This is a battle scene where she fought another droid or cyborg, and you can see ruins of it at the bottom of her feet. You have some weapons, whether she used the weapons. You have a giant hammer. You have a huge gun, which she can actually hold, and this is only on the deluxe version. Some toppled buildings in the background, and she's standing on top, kind of like the champion, showing her stuff. Next person, come and get me. She was pretty fearless in the movie. I do remember one of the quintessential scenes is when she said F you to the droid that was almost killed her. She's in her typical garb, not her battle armor, but her street clothes that she wears every day, which I would have liked it if they would have done a switch out torso with her battle armor. I think that would have put the deluxe over the top. And she has a number of different display options with her portrait and her arms, which we're going to talk about. Very serene, which she was throughout the movie. She always looks very curious, kind of what's going on. So I like the fact they tied a lot of elements to the movie. They did some of their own concept stuff. Like I said, it's kind of a pedestal, but kind of not. She's victorious on top. I think it does a good job telling part of the story of the movie. And so I think concept, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 V. It's very nice. There's a few things I don't like. I don't like the fact they put the name on the front. I don't like the fact that it's raised up just to take up more room height-wise. I think those are negatives. However, when you talk about displayability, sometimes height can be an advantage. So let's talk about that with design. With design, because it's elevated and she's a shorter character in general, you don't have to worry about if you're going to put her slightly back from other characters, you can still see her. She's not overpowering, but she's not too little. That's kind of nice. And let's jump right into the switch outs because there are so many here with the deluxe version. First thing I want to do is I want to show you what the regular edition looks like. Check it out. Right here is the regular edition, the sword on her shoulder, the non-painted portrait, and a left arm just hanging at her side. So let's take a quicker look at those switch outs. First, I want to show you her left arm. Here it is hanging at the side. Again, this is the regular version, but it comes with the deluxe version as well. Or in her left arm, you can have her holding that spine. Kind of different. Or you can have her holding this big ass gun. Again, this is deluxe version only. And the gun, if you're not having her hold it, you can also put it on the base. It's meant to be there. Her right arm, she's holding the sword no matter what, but you have 3 different options. Here is the normal version. She can also be raising the sword in the air. I don't think I'm going to do this. Or it's kind of thrusted out. A little bit down to the side, thrust it out. And then you have 2 different portrait options. Here's the portrait that comes with every single statue. This is kind of the curious one I was telling you about. Or kind of the more stern. She looks a little more pissed in this one with the paint below her eyes, her battle portrait I would call this. So let's get dimensions on her very quickly for you guys. The widest point, it's kind of hard to tell. There's a few things jutting out and it depends how you display it, but it's a little over 13 inches. I'm going to imagine it's about that deep too, about the same. And then she is about 25 inches tall if you don't display her sword that's up in the air. And she herself is about 18 inches tall. So I'm a little perplexed at that. 18 inches insinuates she's 6 feet tall. She doesn't look too big, but I don't think she was 6 feet tall in the movie. So I just did some research, and the anime that she's based off, not the movie, she was only 5 feet tall. So I think the scale is incorrect. I don't believe that actress is really this tall in real life. So I just checked that out for you guys too. The actress is about 64 inches, so it is still overscaled if they're comparing it to her. Let me remeasure it one more time to make sure I'm not crazy. But from the bottom of her foot to the top of her head is 18 inches. So she's overscaled. She doesn't look it though. That's the interesting thing. I wonder if they made her the true size, whether it was based off the anime or the movie, if the statue would have been too small. So kind of interesting there. Now, if you look at the scale just from the perspective that she is, she's fine. But if you're someone who really values this has to be 100% accurate, I think you're going to be disappointed. Besides, Prime 1 Studios always gets the scale right anyway. We know that. So I like a lot of things they did with this design. Honestly, I'm kind of happy she's not smaller. I would have preferred her to be this size. If she was too much smaller, the base would have taken too much of the show. And it does take quite a bit of the show, which is another concept. A lot of people, sometimes it's like if the base takes away too much from the character, then you completely ruin the statue. I think it's a decently equal amount right here, but it's borderline the base is a little bit too much of a star of the show. So overall on design, I think the switch outs give it a little bit of an edge. However, you pay a lot for those switch outs, so I think it's very nice. Right in the middle, it's a 3 out of 5. So let's dive into paint and sculpt, and this is where Prime 1 Studios usually shines. And I can tell you from initial looks, especially at the base, you're not going to be disappointed. Let's start at the bottom. They have this sub base, this black museum sub base. This is part of their master museum line. They always have something similar to this. It's fine, nothing crazy. On the bottom, you have a lot of things going on. You have kind of these vents on this green beige concrete wall with some dents in it, a lot of different shading. You have some copper pipes running around. Not that you'd ever look at this, but it's done okay. I'm not a huge fan of the texture. It's a little bit left to be desired. And you see that same aspect as you move up to almost this sub base of the main statue. A lot of the same stuff going on, but then it starts to get really good. So you see more of that copper tubing, because some of it actually carries down to the bottom base below. But you have this metallic, I don't even know what you'd call it. You have this metallic portal or whatever she's standing on with some rivets and gold and copper. And you don't see too much of it, but you do see a whole bunch of wiring. Almost makes you think this is a futuristic podium of some type or a spaceship. And let's look at the concrete that has kind of collapsed on top of it. The concrete's done really well. Not only the sculpt, but the paint on it. I like it a lot. There's some damage in the concrete that's still standing. You see kind of the cables coming out of it, the tension cables. And on the back here, you see some blood, some blue blood. It's actually dripping from the spine she's holding, if that's the switch out you choose to go with. And let's look at the creature that she took it from. This is awesome. The body of it, there's so much going on here, not only with the sculpt, but the colors. And I really like the blue blood, or the blue teal blood. They got some glistening effect with it. And this just complements all the circuitry and wiring that's going on here, how he's really mangled and ripped up. They did a great job. I like the different copper tones they used. Even look at the hand that's falling to the side. Almost looks like it's hanging there. Very, very cool. Check out the hammer. I wish she could actually hold this hammer. Essentially, you kind of think this was the hammer that her enemy was using against her, then she turned it on him. I like the red that they added to it. It helps contrast the statue, but it looks cool. And this actually keys in, so you have to have this on here. It makes it a little bit more busy. What's ironic is, as I was showing you guys pictures earlier, I haven't taken those yet, so I don't know what this looks like on her. It almost makes the base too busy. I definitely want to have the gun because it's so badass, but I like her holding the spine, so I'm going to have to choose between the two. If you remove it, I don't think it's busy enough. So I think you definitely want to keep it with it. Let's look at Alita. She's honestly, her body is not as impressive as the base, but her shoes look fine. Some sculpt on the laces. They kind of blend in a little bit too much, and it might be because it's all the same color. They should have changed up the color or shading of the laces a little bit. She's got these straps on the boots. Again, all black. They could have added some colored buckles or something like that in there. And then it's a little bit different shade of black, but you see the same aspect on her body. And she doesn't have a lot of muscular anatomy here. It's kind of solid. You don't really see any muscles. There's some different designs on her leather pants. I'll have to watch the movie again to see how accurate this is. But her lower half kind of seems out of place. Look at her torso. She's got kind of this leather jacket on that doesn't even have a zipper, so it's kind of a leather jacket shirt. Has a lot of the same design. You do see a few folds. There were a few folds depending on the lighting you look at in the pants as well. And I think all that's very okay, but the rest of her is great. Take a look at her arms. Highly complex, highly detailed. They hit the coloring right, the purples and silvers and blacks. Very robotic, just like the movie. Take a look at her blade. Her blade's obviously the same other than the position, but it looks great. Another thing to notice, this statue's very light considerably. So I think a lot of resin was used. Here's a close-up of that spine. It's so cool. I like it a lot. Definitely going to display her with this, although I do want to see what she looks like with the gun on it. First, let's look at her regular portrait, and you're going to see a lot of similarities. It looks like she almost has the same haircut. Her strands are fine. Really no differentiation in the color. I think the likeness is really well done. We didn't really talk about that in concept, but very good on the likeness of her. It's not perfect, but for a 1/4 scale statue. Her eyebrows are sculpted in, which is nice. You know, it's interesting. I know Queen Studios, I was talking to them as they were creating the Alita bust. They said they were having a lot of issues with the eyes because they're non-human eyes and they're different than what anyone's ever done before. But I think they pulled it off magnificently. Looks really good. Love how shiny they are. They look real. Great paint around it, some eyelashes on the bottom. Her hair is behind her ear, where on the other one, you don't see her ear. So all of her hair is kind of falling forward, and some of her hair actually has a little bit of a glistening effect. I like the paint, the red paint on her face looks really good, and I think they scrunched the expression just enough to show some of that anger. 100% the way to go with the deluxe version, which is why I kind of went in that direction. I kind of go back and forth, both on the paint and sculpt. The bottom of it's okay, the bottom of the base is okay. The top of the base is phenomenal. The bottom of Alita is okay. The top of Alita is much better. The hair is okay. So there's a lot of okay and a lot of phenomenal. I think I'm going to give the sculpt overall. I think it's a V. It's a 3 out of 5. It's very nice. It's close to being a higher grade. But I think they did a marvelous job on the paint. You know, with just a black suit, there's not a lot of variety they can do. Little bit of opportunity, but I think the paint's a 4 out of 5. Really well done. A lot of cool things going on here with contrasting. And what they did, it's pretty clean. The problem with this piece is I think it's a deluxe or bust because of the portrait. Also, you get the spine, you get the gun. That's pretty decent. Having the sword in different positions really isn't a big deal to me, but paying $300 more for that, I don't think it's worth it. I really wish that they had, you know, just done one version and maybe price pointed it at like $750 or so. That would have been a much better deal. Because they didn't do that, I think the value is a 3 out of 5. It's very nice. It's not a great value, But now let's check out some close-up videos of her. So in summary, I think if you're a huge fan of the movie, this is a must collect. I do know Hot Toys has come out with a 1/6 scale of her, and Queen Studios has that amazing bust, but that's over $3,000 when it's all said and done. So this is definitely a great option. If you're just, I wasn't a huge fan of the flick, then I think this is a pass, to be honest with you. It's done really well, but I think you have a lot more appreciation if you like the character. Now, I think they're making a sequel, so if the sequel's awesome, then certainly this is a way to go. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit that logo. You'll subscribe to the channel or check out some of these other Prime 1 Studio reviews. Tomorrow, I am launching Prime 1 Studio's Galvatron. And then in a couple days, I have one of the most magnificent pieces you will ever see. Until then, take care.